let me invite you to come on stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Domnul attention attorney.
Good afternoon again. Just a reminder, in case you forgot, my name is Blessing. And someone said earlier, I think one of the speakers said earlier, something I wrote down, I think I need to mention. He said, a day that brings big people together, no, a day that brings good people together is a blessed day. So today's a day that has brought good people together. But not only did it bring good people together, and not only is it a blessed day, it's a day that you have blessing in the room too. So I thought I should throw that in. Right, so transport. Structuring the corridors that move trade. We can talk about trade all we want, we can have the finance in place, but if we cannot transport through the corridors, there's no trade going to take place. So thank you to our panelists, and I'll like to start again by giving you 30 seconds to please tell us your name, your organization, and why you are in the room today. So just 30 seconds each, please, gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Oh, no, not yet, good afternoon. So my name is Pascal, I'm the CEO of Nohippo, together with Eskender, who's in the room. We founded it 4 years ago. Basically, with the ambition, we both have an emotional link with Ethiopia. He's from Ethiopia and lives since 10 years in Belgium. I have 2 daughters from Ethiopia. We wanted to build a business that would bring money from the north to the south. That was basically our idea. And being computer engineers both, we started the business of outsourcing Belgian projects to Ethiopia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is CLERCQ. I'm the director for Africa and Middle East at AWEX. AWEX is one of the 3 regional agencies in charge of promoting foreign trade and inwards investment in Belgium. We've been talking a lot about Belgian companies investing in Ethiopia. Our role is slightly different. We help Belgian companies to export to Ethiopia. So Ethiopia for us is an export market, and I will develop and give you a few examples and how it is related also to what you mentioned, the corridors and transportation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Solomon Endale. I'm the country manager for Ethiopian Airlines. Okay, thank you. And the Benelux, representing the Benelux region. Let me say a few things about Ethiopian Airlines. I hope all of you know that Ethiopian Airlines is the biggest carrier in Africa. Since its establishment in 1946, the airline is growing. Now it covers about 145 destinations worldwide. We have flying at different fleet compositions, which includes the Airbus series, the Boeing, and Bombard Air to cover the domestic regions. Ethiopian Airlines also is very well known in cooperation. Since then, Ethiopian Airlines is already established different equity partner airlines throughout the Africa, which includes that the Malawian airline, which is established by Ethiopian Airlines, and Askai, Zambia, and to mention the Air Congo. So all these airlines are a witness that is a live airlines now operating in Africa. So the management is carried on by Ethiopian Airlines, and this demonstrates that how Ethiopian Airlines is cooperating in Africa as well. So let me say one thing, that Ethiopian Airlines, the success behind Ethiopian Airlines is Ethiopian Airlines is a self-sufficient airline. At the background, in addition to the direct service, that is the international service that we are providing for passengers, the cargo service that we are flying about 70 destinations worldwide. The background is the MRO services at self-sufficient by itself. It maintains and equipped with maintaining all fleet types by itself. The other thing is the aviation university. Now from the academy it is grown to the university level. So for training and all its from pilot training to the finance and all administrative works as well as given by its own university. So it is also one of the backbone for the airline. The other thing is catering. Catering facility today more than about 90,000 meals per day, the capacity of the catering by the airline itself, so that still we are self-sufficient by catering ourselves. The other thing is the hotel industry. Now the hotel that we do have the biggest hotel in Africa, in Addis Ababa, that is the Skylight Hotel, which also is a good one, that Addis Ababa is a hub for African and worldwide connection, so that for our passengers to spend their time for connection in the terminal as well as in the city, we do have this facility. I'm just saying this about the airline and
okay. Just to say, Solomon, it was supposed to be a 30 seconds introduction, and you've done 3 minutes. So it means you're going to have to give us 300 airline points. Okay, one more, please. Just 30 seconds. Your name, your organization, and why you're here.
Thank you. My name, good afternoon everybody. So my name is Peiffer. I'm the CEO of Vecturis, which is a Belgian-based company operating rail in different countries, essentially emerging economies, mainly in Africa, but also Latin America and Asia. The experience we have in Ethiopia is a past experience. So some 20 years ago, Ethiopia decided to concession the historical railway, the narrow gauge, and we have been bidding for that project successfully, by the way. But in the meantime, Ethiopia had decided to go for another project that was financed and supported by China to build a new railway line. We used to know Ethiopia and to appreciate the potential of the country.
Thank you. I'll start with you, Eric, because we have 2 Erics on the panel. So, Eric, from your experience in transport and infrastructure, what makes a trade corridor commercially viable and ready for serious investment?
For a trade corridor, I mean, if we think in terms of investment, it's clear that there is a huge difference between a road corridor and a rail corridor. Road is relatively easy. I mean, if you privately finance a road, the logic will be a toll gate, and then you try to make sure that the maximum of vehicle will be passing the toll gate. For the rail, it's a little bit more complex because you can have such a multiplicity of users. So the quality of the service will be determining the profitability and the use of the investment in the infrastructure. And there again, you have a double logic: the infrastructure manager and the operators, or the operator. Even if it's the same company, you think in terms of 2 business units. You know, the infrastructure manager will try to maximize the use of the infrastructure and to collect access fees in a certain way, because in terms of accounting, you know, the characteristic of an infrastructure is a very high level, a very high proportion of fixed costs. Should you transport 1 million ton, 10 million ton, the cost of maintenance is about the same. For the operator, you know, the logic is a little bit different. You try to pay a minimum in access to the infrastructure and to maximize the turnaround of your rolling stock. It's a little bit the same logic as in aviation, where an aircraft has to fly a maximum. It's clear that we have here in Ethiopia probably the best possible trade corridor with the Addis, Djibouti corridor. It's a sort of dream for an infrastructure developer. You have a captive, massive market because there is about one access to the sea. Not good for the country, but surely good for the infrastructure developer. An average commercial distance which is long enough to have a fair competition between road and rail, because the rail is cheaper in transporting tons, but then have to compensate the cost of the last mile, because not all customers are connected to the rail. But clearly, such a rail should be capturing a significant market share. So I don't know what is now the reality in Ethiopia, but what I see is that today the percentage, of all the traffic going from Djibouti to Addis and vice versa is only 20% or between 10 and 20% for the rail. It's not normal. So I suppose the next step now for the Ethiopian authorities will be to maximize the use of that rail infrastructure, splendid rail infrastructure that they've been developing and financing, and try to capture more of the road traffic to have a more balanced reality between rail and road. And that will be maximizing the return of that massive investment in infrastructure.
Okay, so it's about maximizing what already exists. What I'm hearing is the fixed cost for infrastructure has already been established, and looking at the cost of the last mile. So infrastructure only becomes viable and valuable when it connects real trade to movement, to demand, operating capacity, and a clear commercial case. So I'll come to you, Pascal. From your work building technology delivery between Ethiopia and Europe, what does Ethiopia offer as a digital services corridor, and what needs to be strengthened for that opportunity to scale?
Okay, thank you. Yes, indeed. So our business model is really about shipping intellectual work. It's not about physical goods. Our work is completely remote for the Belgian customers. So that means that our main resource that we need is brains, trained brains, that we can include in our projects. And in the 4 years that we are operating now, we shipped about 10,000 man days of this kind of work, and it is really a success. And that means that the hypothesis on which our company was built 4 years ago, that this talent would be available for the Belgian market, has been proven. It means that there are trained people, they speak good English, we work in the same time zone, so there are a lot of advantages to do this kind of model. What we need as an infrastructure is basically a PC, a good internet connection, and some power. So that's also not a big complication. Of course, we had to take some measures when there are power outages or something like that, but in general, it works. The government has been doing a lot of initiatives like the ECT Park, like the new law on personal data, which is also important for us, working from Europe. So all these things help, and it's really a good evolution. So on the supply side, I would say we have no issue at all to scale. On the demand side, that's Belgium. There, of course, we have a kind of uphill battle when we promote Ethiopia as an offshore destination for IT. So, and there the main issue, I would say, is about promoting Ethiopia. What are the values connected to Ethiopia? Of course, companies like Ethiopian Airlines are helping us to establish kind of premium value on Ethiopia. But in general, I must say the challenge is still there. If there is slight conflict in the area, we see it in the newspaper, and of course, this is a matter of trust, and that's for me the biggest issue today.
Okay, so we're back to that storytelling.
Yeah.
If I can open it back to the floor before I carry on, who is responsible for telling Ethiopia's story, and are they in the room?
Primarily me.
Okay, so this is a conversation that we probably need to have later on this afternoon, because it it keeps coming up. It's the story. So we need to kind of look at how do we structure the story of Ethiopia whilst we're here today to make sure that going forward, the right story is being told. Thank you, sir. So if I thank you for that, Pascal, and that expands the conversation really. Trade today is about more than goods moving through routes and ports. It's also about talent, services, technology, and trusted delivery moving across borders. So, Eric, from an AWEX perspective, what would help Belgian and Walloon companies move from interest in Ethiopia to practical market engagement?
Well, you were talking about history. I think our engagement has been there for more than 20, 30 years already, and there are many Belgian companies active in Ethiopia. Maybe it's not well known, because very often it's not something our people know. But let's go back to the example of Ethiopian Airlines. Ethiopian Airlines has regular passengers flights to Brussels. But when you have one passenger flight to Brussels at the very same time, and we were discussing that issue with the different fruits, commodities, flowers coming from Ethiopia, there are 6 cargo arriving every day at Liège Airport. So Liège Airport is definitely one of the biggest destination of Ethiopian Airlines cargo, and it's European center of distribution, I would say. Another example, still with Ethiopian, which is covering 61 destinations in Africa. So as the director in charge of Africa, very often when we organize trade mission or companies go and use Ethiopian Airlines. We recently had a mission in Angola. Some of the participants took Ethiopian Airlines, and we have a mission coming very soon to Lubumbashi. We will go to the DRC Mining Week, and we will fly Ethiopian Airlines. And so, I mean, it's a perfect enabler because since the companies are going through Ethiopia, they could, use that opportunity to make, if they wish, a stopover and see and test the markets. I would like to thank here especially our colleagues from the Belgian Embassy in Addis who are helping us, because you should know that we have no commercial office as such in Ethiopia at the moment, and we're very much helped by Gael, an ambassador, of course. Thanking also our Ethiopian colleagues from the embassy in Brussels. Another example I wanted to give is Ecosteril, which is a company which is specialized in, treating medical waste. Medical waste, especially after COVID, you can imagine, is an important issue. And now they are quite present. I know Ambassador of Ethiopia was visiting Ecosteril not so long ago, and he had a talk with Philippe Dufresne. Now the equipment produced by this Belgian company is already available in Addis. In phase 2, we hope that, of course, it will be available to all the hospitals throughout Ethiopia. So you see that trade is already happening between our nations. I'm not talking about regions because, I want to say that basically when we go abroad, we introduce ourselves as Belgians. Even though I work for Wallonia, I want to salute here my colleague from FIT, Flanders Investment and Trade, which I could read this morning. And we talk also about AI, and I wanted to give a last example, which is a company called Odoo. Maybe you've heard of it. It's a company also based in Belgium, in Wallonia, producing a business suite. And they are settled in Africa. They are operating from Kenya, not Ethiopia, but they are collaborating with many distributors and resellers in Ethiopia. So, I mean, trade between our nations is not something new, and it's already happening. And we see it in the different figures of our trade.
Thank you, Eric. This brings us to the role of institutional support. Businesses need access, but they also need interpretation, trusted partners, and a practical route into the market. So for you, Solomon, considering you own the air miles already. Ethiopian Airlines is a major bridge between Ethiopia and international markets. How does air connectivity help turn trade interest into real movement of goods, people, cargo, and investment between Ethiopia and Benelux?
Okay, thank you. We can say that from yesterday's and today's forum that the potential investors are here. The policymakers are also here, and the policymakers are already tells us that how Ethiopia is ready for the development of the foreign investment, and they are attracting, they are investing, they are inviting investors to invest in Ethiopia. So they explain that what is on the ground in Ethiopia, everything is smooth for investors and the like. From the investor side, they are still here to communicate with or to discuss on the potentials, what they can explore in Ethiopia. And still they do have a question that how Ethiopia may provide from policy side, from infrastructure, manpower, trained manpower, and the like that supports the investment and that assures that the return is going back to them. And they said the policymakers are already addressing this, and they are going to address if there are a lot or few questions that has to be addressed. Now the next question, or the already said, is that how these investors, once convinced and invest in Ethiopia, how they distribute their products, how these business professionals can be easily access Ethiopia. Now the Ethiopian Airlines comes to the picture. Ethiopian Airlines, as I said earlier, and it is already speaks by itself, and most of the panelists before me and even now, and some other speakers also is mentioning that Ethiopian Airlines is bridging this gap by providing seamless transport for people and cargo as well. So when we say that for people, that Ethiopian Airlines today is serving a daily flight from Brussels Airport to Addis Ababa on a daily basis, dedicated A350 aircraft, still a modern aircraft, fully equipped with internet connection so that it is very easy to be accessed by the investors and businessmen. The next one is their cargo or their product. Today, Ethiopian Airlines is operating 4 weekly flights to Brussels Airport, dedicated cargo, 32 to 40 flights per week from Liège Airport. In addition to that, the belly cargo that we are providing today as an access for those who are investing and producing in Ethiopia by transporting them just from the factory or from the source direct to Europe, the heart of Europe in Brussels, in a daily basis, in the morning flight with the passengers. So the airline is now filling the gap and serving this as a transporter for both goods and people.
Still on you, Solomon, I'm just asking, what's your demand versus supply like? Are you meeting your demand, or do you have excess supply? What's higher for Ethiopian Airlines?
To meet the demand and supply, Ethiopian Airlines started its flight to Belgium in 2006 with 3 weekly flights. So from then, now it reached to a daily flight. That means the airline is operating based on the demand of the demand of its customers. When it started, it was tagged or it flies through Paris to merging this the Paris and Brussels together, 3 ways a week. Today, the airline is operating direct from Addis to Brussels, so that means that the demand is increasing through time, and the airline is providing the supply, the aircraft from 285 seater Boeing aircraft. Now today we are more than 300 and something Airbus. Sometimes we are even flying with Dash 1000, which provides almost 400 passengers per day.
Okay, so I suppose, what's the ambition, and do you have what you need to meet that ambition?
The ambition is still bigger. The airline is investing in its development, and now there are a lot of aircraft in order. The demand is also there. We have seen that through time the demand is increasing, especially in the tourism sector. The tourism sector is now growing through time, and we are a good supplier or provider of this service for the Belgians and the Benelux, even from Netherlands and Luxembourg as well. So there is, the demand is there. From the cargo side, cargo is still growing and unfulfilled demand. So we are still working on that, availing dedicated cargo flights to increase the daily operation to Belgium.
Okay, thank you. The boss has said no Q&A, but I'm going to veto the boss and say one question. I'm going to get sacked. One question. Any one question? I know you're welcome.
One question.
No? Oh, okay, that's good then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That brings the conversation back to execution. When people can move, goods can move, cargo can move, and relationships can be maintained, the corridor becomes easier to activate. I'd like to give a round of applause to our panel. Thank you. And we will move on, I think it's to lunch next, if I'm right. But before that, I also, whilst I have the mic before I get kicked off the stage, we have a cross-border performance readiness session later on this afternoon after lunch for CEOs, leaders. I think anyone here who is a decision maker, I'll invite you to join me for that structure session, because it's a hands-on. We're going to look at live opportunities, how to structure what you have for what you need. So please do come along for that 1 hour session. It's a live working session to make sure we structure what you have available. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President. Let me invite the panelists to take a group picture. And also I want to say for the session that Dr. Blessing will be hosting from 2 p.m. is just next to the registration desk. So now also I have the pleasure to announce the MOU signing between CBL ACP and the Ethiopia South Chamber of Commerce. So I'll invite the gal from the Embassy of Belgium to join us at the signing table. And then we'll let them first take that picture and then we go over here. And then invite the rest to have their lunch. And the B2B actually will be in this hall, so there are already some chairs and the tags. So I would say after the lunch you can come back and have your B2B meetings or already informally during the lunch. Thank you.
Salam,